Good morning, guys. Welcome to my Compound Life. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets. We build great habits to manage all of our assets. And of course, we build freedom. And that should really be financial freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my channel. So welcome. It's good to see you all this morning. It's the 7th of January 2026. Time of recording is about 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK, not in the US. So depends when you guys are watching. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night. It's good to see you. And I kind of guess I've actually got a lot more audiences or viewers from the US versus the UK. So yeah, I think guys in the UK, let me know in the comment section if you guys exist, right? Let me know who you are. And yeah, anyone else, any new subscribers, remember to drop in the comment. Let me know who you are, because I understand that 88% of you guys that watches my video don't actually subscribe. So if you want me to continue to make video, to improve on my video, etc., and drop alphas, please hit the like and hit subscribe right now. Just do it right now. Do me a favor, do it right now, because I'm a new content creator, definitely low in my subscriber count. So any like or subscribe can definitely help. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so from the price, from the time of recording, Bitcoin price dipped a little bit. Well, not a little bit, pretty big dip here. Pretty steep dip. But anyway, at the time of recording, Bitcoin price is at around 91,800. So right now, Bitcoin is trading, within the range 91,500 to about 93,000. So in the past 24 hours, it went down a small amount, about 1 to 2%, starting from around 93,500, hitting a high near 93,000. Hitting a high near 93,500 and low around 91,300 or 400, 200 or 300. Yeah, so we are still pretty far away from the previous all-time high back in October the 8th of around 126,000. So yeah, we are 27% away from it. So Bitcoin, it's still currently holding steady above 90,000. So I think that's very good news for everyone on this channel. Very likely, you are one of the Bitcoin holder, Bitcoin investors, Bitcoin OG, or if you're dipping your toes into Bitcoin, definitely good time to buy at around 91,000. But don't go all in, as I've mentioned before in many of my other videos, because at present we are heading, it seemed to me we are still in a bearish trend, although there are a lot of other theories that talk about Bitcoin for 2026 will be in a super cycle. But from historical 4-year cycle perspective for Bitcoin, now we are in the situation where we are going into a bear market, right? So typically the best time to accumulate Bitcoin will be 500 days before the next halving event. And the 500 days until the next halving event, Bitcoin halving event, that is, will start sometime in November. So if you are looking into buying, I think November would be a good timing to re-enter. But anyway, let's continue with Bitcoin and the price action. So we are currently around 91,800. Hopefully we should continue with some better movement when US market open. Anyway, so Bitcoin obviously dipped yesterday, right? I think yesterday it dipped down to about 91,200. Okay, so no news, Bitcoin dip, right? How can it be? Because if you look at financial news in the US yesterday, S&P 500 hit all-time high. It's up about 45% from April 2025 low. About 500 billion USD got added into the US stock market yesterday alone, right? Even Dow Jones hit new all-time high. Precious metal, gold, silver, also near all-time high. Everything went up except for Bitcoin. Are people rotating because bad news post-Venezuela? So that's why they start to, like maybe Venezuela, they might be afraid that Venezuela might be selling off their Bitcoin. They're about 600,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's even more than strategy, I think. But anyway, are people rotating? Or the only way that I can find ways to explain this will probably be looking into the leverage, right? So if we have a look at the leverage chart, so above the price, above all of this, above price are short liquidation, fueled for squeeze, and below are long liquidation, fueled for a huge dump. So price, sometimes it moves to where leverage gets wiped, right? So pay specific attention on the high, the bright yellow lines, right? So these are where a lot of leverage are building up, right? So obviously a lot of leverage long are building up. And as we can see yesterday, so a lot of leverage building up around 93,000. So this is where, market makers just comes down and take all of this out, right? And as soon as it dipped down a little bit, a lot more leverage long gets built up again. So as you can see here, this is why you should never get into leverage, right? So this is why, I'm starting my compound life. I still believe that Bitcoin is a very, very top performing asset. Of course, you take on leverage risk, you can gain a lot, but at the same time, you can lose a lot too, right? From my compound life experience, I think I still make a good, decent lifestyle without having to get into leverage. I've tried leverage before. And of course, it is pretty hard as there's so much market makers manipulation. So that's why you need to be very, very careful. So why price moves towards these zones, right? These zones, the one with a lot of leverage piling up, like the bright yellow ones. So market makers and large players, all of this information, you can essentially see this, right, on chain, right? And these are public data, they're free, So market makers, large players, they actually know where leverage are stacked, and they will push price downwards enough, right? So for this instance, the price was at around 94,000, and then they'll push it down enough to take out the leverage long here, right? And taking this out essentially means, market makers take out about 76 million worth of leverage long. And and they just push it down enough, trigger the liquidation, collect the liquidity, and move on. So in the short few hours, Bitcoin dropped about USD $3,000 and essentially liquidated well over 220 million worths of long within hours. And then followed by about 80 billion worths of USD wipeout from the whole of the crypto market just because of leverage. Okay, so there again, you do see a lot of longs gets built up. I think very likely market makers will continue to manipulate and try to liquidate more. So something to look forward to if you are continuously stacking. And then, well, obviously not something to look forward to if you're a leverage trader. But anyway, let's move on. Looking at the 50 days simple moving average chart. Simple moving average, I think it's increasing now. I think we are at around 90,000. And of course, price movement has been pretty positive for Bitcoin. We are hovering at around 90,000. So give it another few more days. 50 days moving average should be moving back to about 90-ish, 91 or 92,000. But bear in mind, because there's a huge profit-taking zone between 92,000 to about 95,000. I think especially with yesterday's market makers manipulation, people are again, they'll be like, right, I need to take profits. And there will constantly be more and more 92 to 95,000 zone where people are taking profits. Okay, so until we've been able to go back to about 95,000 and then secure back, slowly grind back up to about 100,000 and go above the 200 days simple moving average. I wouldn't call this anytime a bull market, right? Personally, I'm going to see this as plenty of manipulation, right? Until the next catalyst news. Okay, so there will be a next catalyst news. I'll talk about in the news section in just a moment. But for now, I think just be very careful. I mean, since we're in spot, we just hold and we don't really have to worry too much. But yeah, I think just continue to hold. Right now, it's not the best time to sell, especially we have slightly better bullish signal, bullish movement, slightly bullish setup. I think give it another few more weeks, monitor, and then we'll decide, right? So as you can see, Bitcoin price is slightly grinding up. We have moved above 50 days moving average. And give it another few weeks and see whether we can reclaim that 95,000 and then eventually move up to reclaim back 100,000 and then go above that 200 days simple moving average. Okay, that's where we can confirm, whether we back into, whether the bulls are back in control. Okay, so looking at this chart, essentially you can see this is when the death cross met, right? So this is when the 50-day simple moving average go down below the 200 days moving average, right? So if we look at if we are still in a bull market, essentially, for us to get back into the golden cross, that's when the 50 days simple moving average line crosses above the 200 days simple moving average line. So the last time it did that was the death cross was formed sometime in April the 7th. And then afterwards, about a month and a half, a bit more than a month and a half, it gets back to, a golden cross. And then later, of course, Bitcoin will pump and then, form another all-time high. But of course, I'm not indicating that all the time when golden cross met, we're going to form another all-time high, but at least it will give indication of a bullish momentum, right? And there will be higher price action for Bitcoin. So another time, if we look back, this was back in 2024. Death Cross was formed around August the 9th, and then took about 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, a bit under 3 months, but under 3 months. Yeah, under 3 months for it to get back to golden cross. Okay. And of course, this was when things starts to pick up. I think we were still in, this is the beginning of the bear market, beginning of the bull market. September 12th, first to get to October the 30th, about a month and a half. Okay, so I guess if we're still in the bull market, right, it will, and then we are already nearing 2 months, so will we see another golden cross soon, before we get back, or at least reclaim back 110,000, or get back to our previous all-time high? I think that could be a possibility, right? So we'll see how that goes. And then let's move on to fear and greed index. We are currently at neutral zone at 41. That's very good. I think yesterday we were at around the same too, right? Yesterday we were around 45. It dropped a little bit. I think a lot to do with the market makers' manipulation. But so far, at least for the week, we are getting out of the fear and extreme fear zone, and then moving into much more of the neutral zone. Okay, so that's good. I think we are definitely seeing progress. And then look into ETF 6th of June buy. It was bearish at total outflow of 243 million. But it does seem BlackRock continued to buy, and it was mainly Fidelity selling, and all others. All others are selling except for BlackRock, right? Of course, for the week, Monday, Tuesday's data, I think for the week, we're already at around $454 million worth of total inflow for ETF. Not far from last week. So last week we actually have less trading days too, right? So for this week, I think maybe we'll close slightly higher. I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe we might even get back to about 1 billion worth of inflow, right? Yeah, or about 800 million or 900 million. But so far, I think these are very, very positive that ETFs, people will suddenly get back to work and decide that, you know what, I want to buy Bitcoin ETF. And then they started to invest. So that's good. For Ethereum, at the time of recording, what's Ethereum price? 3,200. I think generally alts are coming back. So Ethereum, 3,200. I think for the past 7 days, it's increased by about 7 point, about 7% for Ethereum, so that's good. Yesterday was inflow again, largely contributed by BlackRock. BlackRock, Fidelity, outflow. Actually, many are actually inflows, apart from Grayscale. Grayscale had quite a massive outflow. And of course, I think Ethereum on a weekly basis, yes, continue to be bullish. $282 million worth of inflow so far. And then we look at Solana. Solana yesterday did a positive inflow, so it was bullish for Solana. I think what's Solana price now? Solana price is $136, up about 9% for the past 7 days. So I think all good. I think generally a lot of coins are up. Let me see. Like for the months, I think altcoins. Okay, so this channel we tend not to cover too much altcoins, but I think it's interesting to see what's going on in the crypto market in general. It does seem people are, traders, investors of crypto and Bitcoin very likely are slightly more bullish, and then they want to continue to buy in, and it's being reflected on the weekly chart. Things are going green, and some of them are actually increasing quite rapidly. Something like render 80%. Oh, it's decent. Stacks, I've got a bit of stacks at 42%. I think what you can definitely see in the crypto market, these are the small cap coins or tokens. They actually increase quite quickly within like weeks or days. Okay, but overall for the past 24 hours, I think mainly drops. A lot of it, as you can see, as long as Bitcoin drops, due to market makers manipulation, that will also result in all of the other altcoins to drop too. So bear that in mind. Okay, so Solana, I think Solana continue to be strong. I think weekly data for Solana. So far this week, it's all inflow. So far about 25 million worth of inflow versus last week about 20 million. I think this week will definitely close higher for Solana. Okay, so enough of price action and ETF. Let's move on to news that move Bitcoin price. Okay, so I think one thing that I find quite interesting is actually this news. Let's close this guy. Bitcoin and the Japanese yen are moving together like never before. Okay, so does it mean because the unwind still suppressing the Bitcoin price? I think it might be true, right? So here's a little bit of background. Bitcoin and Japanese yen now have super high correlation. Record 0.86 in 90 days. So this means when yen goes down or it gets weakened, Bitcoin also go down a lot. So this happened strong since October 2025, both down and of 2025. So this specific chart here. Okay, so just a quick reminder, because obviously I've covered this in a couple of Bitcoin daily video, right? Because the yen interest rate hike will result in carry trade issue. So a quick reminder, what is yen carry trade? So simply put, Japan have very, very low interest rate for a long time, right? For many, many years. So almost to zero. So big investors like hedge funds, traders, they go to Japan and borrow money in yen very, very cheap, right? And swap that or change that to dollars and into other currency, and then buy high return assets like US stocks, Bitcoin, crypto, and whatever, right? And by doing so, they will make a huge profit from the difference in interest, plus, if their investment goes up, right? So how does this unwind actually affect Bitcoin, right? So unwind means they'll have to close their trade because obviously Japan increased the interest rate and it's no longer viable for them to continue to hold on to that asset because they have to pay back a higher interest rate, right? So when Japan start to raise interest rate slowly, right, and there's actually a lot of indication that they will increase more rate over 2026, right? So Bank of Japan hiked to about 0.75% in terms of interest rate by end of 2025. And also knowing that Japan have a huge debt issue, that's about 240% to GDP. So I've covered some of that government debt issue for all of the different governments in one of my previous videos. So check that out if you haven't already done so. So it's always hard to raise rate fast, but fiscal worry make yen kind of weak now. So obviously investors are scared. They'll sell the asset they bought, like Bitcoin stocks, to get money back, but yen, and then buy yen to repay loan. So obviously this sell make price drop. So selling assets plus buying yen should rightfully make yen stronger, right? That would be my thinking too, right? But right now, yen's still pretty weak. The Japanese yen still pretty weak because Japan haven't hiked up enough of the rate too aggressively, right? So US rate goes higher, capital out from Japan continue, and Japanese continue to buy foreign asset. So why is this matter for Bitcoin, right? I think for short-term wise, it's still pretty bearish. If yen continue to stay weak or gets weaker, it can add more volatility and more downwards pressure for Bitcoin because there would be so much more sell pressure, especially traders that actually borrow yen to buy Bitcoin, right? But for longer term, I think we just simply have to see how the yen plays out. Will it stabilize and not drop as fast? Will Japan increase their interest rate fast enough to stabilize the yen? So I think all of these are currently playing out. That's still suppressing the Bitcoin price a little bit. Okay, so that somehow I feel, would still contribute towards the Bitcoin price action. And of course, other news that are affecting Bitcoin price. I think this is a positive news, a bullish news. MSCI keeps Bitcoin treasury company in the index. So MSCI a few months ago, I think, announced that they might struck off MSTR from their index, and then now they came back and say, okay, fine, we'll continue to keep you guys in the index. So a lot of fear has been removed. A lot of fears, especially knowing that if MicroStrategy, right, the company strategy, or from the founder Michael Saylor, right, if the company gets struck off from MSCI index, essentially means there will be a lot more sell pressure for MicroStrategy. And knowing that Michael Saylor holds a lot of Bitcoin, there's actually a lot of speculation that, people are afraid that Michael Saylor will have to sell a lot of Bitcoins in order to cover the losses, right? So it's good of such announcement. It's giving investors confidence back. I think MicroStrategy share MSTR pump a little bit immediately after such announcement. And of course, it gives Bitcoin a bit of a boost too, because investors are not too afraid of the possible sell pressure from strategy. And of course, another news, I think quite important one, the US Senate Bank Committee vote on Bitcoin crypto bill. Okay, so US committee vote on market structure bill markup on January the 15th, 2026. So that's sometime next week, right? Not next week, the week after. Yeah, next week. Anyway, it's very important because having vote on this will give clearer structure, clearer rules for Bitcoin, crypto, and everything else, right? So I think this is actually a very, very key news that will affect Bitcoin price in almost instantaneously, right? So look out for this, especially I think getting closer to the 15th or 14th or 15th, Bitcoin and crypto will be very volatile. And I somehow feel how it plays out, like any other days for Bitcoin, will be market makers will try and take out leverage long and leverage short, right? So it will be highly volatile, guys. I mean, although the news itself should really be positive and very, very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto, but the market makers will just simply come in and take out longs and shorts here and there. So bear that in mind. S&P 500 hit new all-time high, up about 45% from the low. I think this is very bullish. It's indicating that, markets are performing and people will be rotating and be much more risk on. And risk on usually, it means even buying Bitcoin proxies like strategy, like the Metaplanet, take for instance. So yeah, I think generally all of this, positive market movement will definitely drive Bitcoin price higher. Other interesting news, one more will be coming from the US. Jack Dorsey called to abolish tax on Bitcoin transaction. I think billionaire Jack Dorsey says to Congress to end tax on Bitcoin. So I think that would be good for the US. Imagine if that gets applied to the UK too. I'm sure HMRC wouldn't like it at all. Close it down a bit. Yeah. So that's it, guys. That's it for today. Overall, for the past 24 hours, Bitcoin obviously went down low to about 91,200. But I think a lot of positive momentum, especially ETF buying. Thank you to BlackRock. Thank you to MSCI not striking off strategy from the index. I think overall, don't get shaken out just yet, right? Because there's no negative news at all, right? But there's actually more positive news to look forward to for next week. So from that sense, I think sometimes just refer to the liquidation chart and that would gives you indication of what the hell is going on, right? So bear that in mind. A lot of times, Bitcoin volatility is not because of suddenly people buy or sell. It's a lot of it is to do with the liquidation, right? And the leverage liquidation. So that's why Bitcoin is highly volatile, because a lot of exchanges, they permit up to 50x, 100x worth of leverage. And you don't tend to see this in, traditional financial market. So this is why Bitcoin and crypto can be highly volatile, right? And this is why, you need to hit like, hit subscribe so that you can follow me. And then I should hopefully calm you guys down, because I've been through this, and a lot of time, it's actually just liquidation. Market makers trying to hunt liquidation. So that's why the price gone down significantly within a short matter of hours, right? And then afterwards, as you can see here, right, Bitcoin tend to have a good recovery. But of course, with such fast liquidation, people tend not to, investors tend to stay cautious a little bit, right? So usually this kind of liquidation will cause massive knee-jerk reaction on retail, right? So I think by today's market open, maybe we'll see more ETF sell off, because this would be investors that, there are weekends and they simply cannot stomach the volatility. So that's why they sell, right? So yeah, hit the like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.